I'll retract that for a couple minutes.
Walk a little slow.
Proceed with your question. I heard, didn't she say she said it right behind me?
Sort of.
Hey.
Is this what you're trying to make up for last time?
Stefan.
That was not nice.
Stefan's not gonna be here then?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh.
You hear he's upstairs. They're all upstairs. I'm trying to
Oh.
Yeah, she's ready to go early. That's what it is. She's being funny, Joni.
Here are the boys.
3 the hard way.
I'll try that again.
Sunday.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please.
I, Margot G. Kay, the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown, do hereby state that it is now 7:31 on Tuesday, May 8th, 2018, and that we are in Council Chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey, and that adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morris County Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago, and posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement.
At this time,
Oh, it's a good start. Sorry, I will take a roll call. Councilman Armington.
Here.
Councilwoman Davis.
Here.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Here.
Councilman Elms.
Present.
Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Here.
And Council President Foster.
here.
Council President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. May we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get started, I just wanted to make one announcement. There was an administrative review and resolution number 89-2018, resolution authorizing execution of a developer's agreement by and between the Town of Morristown and Sunstone Hotels Morristown LLC, is pulled from the agenda this evening and tabled until the May 22nd meeting. There are 7 items on the consent agenda this evening. Unless someone would like to speak about one separately, I would ask for a motion.
Can I just poll the town bar and kitchen?
And I have a question on, for the introductions on number 13.
What's that?
I'm sorry, which?
I'm sorry. Ordinance.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
I'm with the Sheba right now. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for items 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the consent agenda.
Second.
But no,
No,
sorry,
one,
2.
three.
1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Do I need
So-
another motion? No.
Basically, I'll make a motion to approve town bar and kitchen as an extension of the liquor license. I know. Mr. Campbell went out and measured the sidewalk widths. Can you confirm that the sidewalk that there's sufficient space for sidewalk under the ordinance for town bar? Did they have it last year?
I can answer the first question, yes. The second one, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't believe so, but
So
I can't say for sure.
The first question was, they do have space?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Then I'll second.
Okay, consent agenda.
What is the required space allotment?
They can't be within 10 feet of the curb.
Well, why don't we tell them?
Okay. I know the clerk wasn't here last year, but all of the licensing of outdoor cafes are run through the clerk's office.
Yeah, not through
So
our
you probably
office.
have the record on whether they had it
I can-
last year or not.
Confirm that.
Off the top of my head, I don't know
I don't
what
think
the
so.
ordinance requirement is as far as how many
Right.
feet, but we do need sufficient space for people to be able to walk and wheelchairs to be able to get across, et cetera.
When this came out, the zoning officer informed me that it was 10 feet from the curb. He said he was going out to measure it, and administration has informed me that it conforms to that, so I'm satisfied with
But
that.
he should have informed the clerk of his findings, so the permit could be issued.
He should have. If you didn't hear from him, that's up to you as a governing body, whether you want to make a decision tonight.
Right.
Right now, the Town Bar and Kitchen has not yet applied for their sidewalk cafe license.
Why is it on here?
This was
Why
a,
is it on here?
this was a precursor to get the liquor license extension approval, should they come, or when they come, so that we didn't have to wait until the next meeting.
Not how we do it. That's not how we do it.
Yeah, no, they have to present and make an application for the outdoor cafe.
They presented a letter requesting, but they did not submit the paperwork for the cafe. Robin and I discussed it, and because it's been such nice weather, we were hoping that the liquor license extension could be granted, but certainly would not be given to them until the sidewalk cafe itself was approved.
But the council still has to look at where the outdoor cafe is, and have to
Okay.
submit drawings.
Right, where they're gonna put their tables, where they're gonna put their seats, you have to approve that.
So it's up to the council how they want to proceed with that.
I-
If there's no application for sidewalk cafe,
Since the application includes no drawings, I'm not sure how Mr. Campbell, confirmed it, so
So do we want to,
I'd be inclined to pull it.
so you'll reach out to,
I absolutely will.
and then just send us an update?
I certainly will.
No, number 2.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard on this evening? If so, please come before me and before the board and state your name and try to keep your comments under 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Renata, and I'm here representing Wind of the Spirit Immigrant Resource Center. I'm here.
Please, Renata,
I'm sorry,
your last name
Maurice, Mauriz,
and your address.
resident of Roxbury Township, 8 Morgan Drive, Secasana.
We don't want you to go on your
Super
tippy toes.
short.
That's okay. There you go.
I'm here today just to extend an invite to all of you. I'm not sure if many of you have heard. On Saturday, May 12th, from 4 to 7 p.m., Wind of the Spirit's hosting an event and a press conference for our Let's Drive New Jersey campaign. We are part of a state coalition that's working towards legislative solution for undocumented immigrants to be able to obtain a driver's license. And we've collected only in Morristown over 3,000 signatures, just community members going around the town. And we're still collecting more petitions with a goal of 10,000 to present to the governor later this year. So I have here some flyers to distribute to all of the council. Should I put it over here?
You can just bring it right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you just repeat the date and time?
Yep. Saturday, May 12th, 4 p.m. The press conference itself won't begin until 4 to 7. And we'll have community members, clergy members, faith leaders. We're an interfaith organization. So this really means a lot to our community. And thank you. We'll hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
So the flyers, are there one of each that we could get now, or?
Yeah, I can
Oh, great. Thanks. I just didn't catch the location.
Morristown Green.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of the public?
Good evening. My name is Richard Ray. I live at 30 Knollwood Road in Morristown. And I'm here regarding an issue that affects our neighborhood, the proposed development of property behind my home and the homes on my same side of the street at the end of Edgewood Road and behind Knollwood Road. The property is currently owned by the estate of Mr. Hunt, who passed away in 2015, and there is a proposal to sell the property now to developers and develop 3 homes on that property. I'm a 34-year resident at my current address. A number of my neighbors are also long-term residents, 5 of whom have asked me to speak for them, and I'll mention their names. But all of us have exactly the same wish. We want to have the property remain in its natural state. It is a significant sanctuary for wildlife. It has a dramatic cooling effect on the neighborhood, this extent of woods and open land. It is very wet back there. There's a great deal of water running through that, and it's a sanctuary for a good deal of wildlife. So we'd like to see the property remain undeveloped. It also, though, we're told, has some issues of contamination that we're concerned about. We haven't been able to get too much information about that. But I was told when I moved into my home that the property was undevelopable because of steep slopes and the wetlands designation. We haven't been able to get any definitive information about that, though. For as long as I can remember, there were rumblings that the property could be developed, but we were told that it could not be because of the steep slopes and wetlands. However, now with this new development, we would like to have the council issue an initiative, a commitment to undertake activities to preserve the property as preserved woodland and wetlands and possibly even a natural park. So I've been asked to speak for 5 of my neighbors, Tara Albritton and Amanda Sinkowitz at 25 Edgewood. Their property directly abuts this empty space, this empty land. Richard and Sandy Syverson at 44 Knollwood. Howie and Megan Buell at 40 Knollwood, Christian and Kathy Van Zyl at 22 Knollwood, and Beth Farris at 8 Knollwood. All of these homes abut directly to this proposed developable property. 4 other of my neighbors are here and would like to speak also, but we all have pretty much the same message. We'd like to have the council pass a resolution that the town will undertake activities to keep this property in its undeveloped state, like I say, perhaps as a natural woodland, perhaps do some cleanup work, especially at the upper level there where it abuts King's property and Chase Bank and so forth. There's a great deal of trash up there that really should be removed. But our request is specifically to the council to ask for a resolution to undertake activities to preserve the property in its undeveloped state. Thank you. The other neighbors, I'm sure, want to follow.
Good evening to Town Council. My name is Gloria Rogers, and I live at 12 Knollwood Road. I have been a homeowner there for 18 years. And when I was looking to purchase the property, my attorney at that time, the former mayor, Jay Delaney, we had discussions that nothing would ever be built or done with the wetlands, the wooded area in the back. Our neighborhood stands together, united for this issue. We stand together along with our representative, Allison Deed, that has always been there for us as we work together for a secure neighborhood. We stand united and asking the town to please keep it as it is. I have also been a resident of Morristown for 55 years, born and raised here and work in the area, and I understand growth and building housing is important for residents, and especially those that can't afford housing. But when you look around the area, you see other towns with open grassland, wood, park areas, and everything. I'm going to ask if this little piece of Morristown, that you could leave it and preserve it as is. We come together united, asking for the town's help in keeping it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Tim Roberts. I live at 36 Knollwood Road. My property backs into the Edgewood property we're talking about. I just want to echo the comments of my two neighbors. This property, when I moved in 5 years ago, again, I was told this property could not be developed. Since this selling of the property, Mr. Hunt passing away, we just want to make sure this property is preserved. It's really a slice of heaven back there. There's a ton of wildlife, and as someone who has small children, they get to see the deer, the raccoons, the foxes. It's really special for them, and I just want to echo like what my neighbor said. We'll just ask the council to preserve this land the best you can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Amy Nolf. I am a resident of 17 Edgewood Road in Morristown.
Your last name again? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Your last name again?
Nolf. It's N as in Nancy, O-L, F as in Frank. So again, I'm a resident of the neighborhood. We moved in probably 2 years ago, but have been living in town for a couple of years. My husband and I purchased the property specifically because of where it was located. It's great walking distance to town, but also coming from Poconos in Pennsylvania, where I grew up. I kind of know what the woods look like, and that piece of Edgewood and Knollwood and that area behind Kings is really an interesting spot in such a developed area. So just this past weekend, actually, one of my neighbors texted me from Dogwood Road. There was a bald eagle in our neighborhood, so that's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, it was exciting. I have a picture of it. So I guess my request to you is to maybe help us support preservation of this land. It's a unique area to Morristown. I know there are other open spaces, but this one in particular has some wetlands which are valuable assets to our area. So especially because there's impermeable space kind of on this side of South Street, that being a wetland kind of helps absorb and be the natural sponge that is in that section. It's surrounded also by some steep slopes, which would be interesting to see how those would be developed. But my main concern is preserving the natural resource and the gem that we have, and maybe using it as a connector for the Lidgerwood Park area that is right near there. And what else did I have? I think that was the main gist of it. So again, I apologize if this is not the way to go about asking for this type of request, so I'm open to feedback and comments either after the session or whenever. So I just thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more comments.
I would like to come. I'm Jose Colasso. I live at 16 Norwood Road. I'm a longtime resident.
Sorry, sir. Could you say your name?
Jose, J-O-A-C. Last name is Colasso. C like Charlie, O-L-L-A, Z like zebra, O. I am in 16 Norwood Road, so I am upstream. The first question that I had to the council is, had the planning board approved already this plan? Yes or no? Had the board's adjustment had done anything, yes or no? I would like to get the name of the engineer that prepared the hydraulic study and his telephone number. Very simple. I would like to know who signed the hydraulic study. I want to know the increase of flow from South Street to the park. So please, give me the name of the consultant. I want to talk to him. Also the subdivision. I want to know the effect of the hydraulic study into the park. My park. What is the overall runoff on this project? You should know that. What is the impact statement that was prepared downstream to the local neighbors. The impact statement. You should know what I'm talking about. Is there any question? Somebody could answer that?
Well, we're in the middle of the public hearing, so your
So
questions,
there is no plan.
we
We'll
will
answer your
address your
questions,
questions
yeah.
after we close the public hearing.
Well, you got all my questions so far. Which question you don't understand?
We'll answer them after they close the public session, sir. That's all they're saying.
So the way the hearing works is that we give you the chance to speak your mind, and you have 5 minutes to say whatever is on your mind. And then everybody else has 5 minutes, and then after, then we deliberate and answer and
Okay.
address those questions.
You
So
want me
you
to
still have a
repeat-
few more minutes, I think.
Well, do you want me to repeat the question, or you already know the question?
No, we have the
wrote
questions.
some notes down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Would that be it for the comments from the public? Close the public comments portion. All right, moving on to council responses to members of the public.
Well, from the planning board's perspective, as I'm on the council liaison to the planning board, such an application has not come before the planning board. So to the gentleman's questions, the standard application would include an environmental impact statement. It would include the hydrology study. It would include all the other things. Not being that familiar with the site, they would be seeking variances for the steep slope ordinance, and they would require wetland impact evaluations and mitigation permits. From my perspective as an environmental planner, the site can be developed if they get all those permits and all those approvals from the state. Wetland mitigation is astronomically expensive. However, if they satisfy all the state requirements and they get approvals from the town for all the variances, it is possible, but no application has come before us. And when an application does come before us, all of those documents will be available to the public for cross-review, and the planning board application will be open to the public for comments from the public, questions. The public will be able to come before the planning board and ask questions of the expert testimony by the hydrologist, engineer, environmental person. Those would be the timeframes for posing those questions. I would have to defer to the administration as to whether or not the town council has jurisdiction over the property if it's not available to us. I'm assuming we can offer a bid, but if it's not available to us, then we have no jurisdiction. But I'll defer to the administration on that.
Council President, I'd like to thank all of the residents that came out to speak on behalf of land preservation in Morristown. I think it's a very important topic, and you have my heart. I think we have a chance to do something great here, and like we've done with the Early Street Garden, and like we've done with Hillcrest, and like we've done, or we're trying to do with Foots Pond, we can preserve yet more open space in Morristown. Morristown doesn't need any more development. We have enough development as it is, and there's development encroaching from the sidelines, as the mayor thoughtfully attended to the other night with some development on our boundary. So I think and I believe, and I don't want to speak for what these people, but at least 2 of the 5 spoke, passionately about preserving this space, and they're asking us as a council to take leadership to pass a resolution in support of this. I believe we do have the jurisdiction. We've done it in the past, working with neighborhood groups such as the Early Street Garden and other groups, and I think that it would behoove us now to protect and preserve this land, which is beautiful, untouched, pristine land. But I also have some questions. I have questions, is the land contaminated? And if it is, how can it be sold? So I'd like that question answered. And the second question I would like answered is, if there is an application, would we hear about it? Would the residents hear about it? How would they be notified? Is it the 200-foot rule, or if not, is it electronic? And thirdly, again, I would like the administration to advise us, to tell us that we do have jurisdiction and that it will come at a price so that we know. So that's what I would ask for the council's help with. Thank you.
Any other council members have any questions before I defer to administration or comments?
I mean, I'll just comment that to Mr. Collazo that the property is at the moment, the property is just for sale. No applications have been submitted, no plans have been made. I was just looking at the listing online. It was originally listed on March 19th, 3.5 acres for $600,000. And last week it was reduced from $600,000 to $400,000. But this is all preliminary. It's still available for sale. And if an offer was received on it, they would need to jump through all the hoops and go through all the motions to get it approved through the town. And to the councilwoman's point, talk about environmental impact and wetlands as well.
Council
So
President?
I'll turn it over to,
So I have a question for the mayor. So $400,000 is the asking price right now, and we're about to approve our budget for next year. So $400,000 at the eve of the open space preservation grant, too. The deadline's coming up, where we could apply for next year's grant, possibly. Is there any room or chance that we could jump on this and apply and have our grant writer, Millennium Strategies, do their magic? And I mean, $400,000 doesn't, it's a lot of money, and I'd love to have $400,000, but is it doable?
Go ahead.
I'll speak in a minute.
Okay. Certainly anything is possible, but I would argue or offer at this point that we don't have enough information about what's on the property. The contamination is particularly of question. So there's a question about whether it's even worth $400,000. What I do know is that there's currently substantial outstanding tax liens on the property, and there's also taxes owed. So there's a number of pieces of outstanding information that would need to be considered before we even look at whether this is something that we would like to pursue as a town. However, all of those things can be analyzed to provide some information for a decision to be made. We do have some basic information from the Realtor regarding some basic engineering information regarding the wetlands that exist. We know that of the 3.5 acres, if you consider the steep slope ordinance, really only 2 of it is even potentially viable for development, the wetlands, et cetera, notwithstanding. But again, we know that there's environmental contamination, likely from, it's a perk plume from a dry cleaner from South Street. What we don't know the extent of it, we don't know, there's not an analysis that we have either done or have access to that would give us enough information to understand the impact on the property and the impact on the value. All of those things would really, I think, need to be considered before, this body considers, if or what to do, to consider preserving the property. That's the information that I have at this point.
So let me just give you a brief update. So about 3 weeks ago, I received an email that this property was available and that a homeowner from your area, I can't remember his name, I don't have my computer in front of me, suggested that there was a pending application in front of one of the boards for development of this property. I believe that he was answered with that email that it's incorrect. There has been no applications. There's been no inquiry, to my knowledge, of an application for any kind of development. Saying that, that's just to put that where we are with the property. So there's no applications. There's nobody calling, asking about applications that I'm aware of. I did talk to the zoning officer. There's no inquiries about someone filing an application for this property. It does have contamination on it. We don't know the level of contamination. I mean, obviously, we have to do our due diligence in looking at the property. Obviously, the public knows that we're on the verge, after some time tonight, we'll speak about it, on the verge of preserving 11 acres. That I'll ask the council to do something tonight. It's the same concept. We can bond for money to buy property. That's not the problem. The problem is we want to know what we're getting into. We don't want to buy a property that's not developable because it's got $2 million. I'm just throwing a number out there, $1 million in environmental cleanup. So it would never be developed. So we have to really do our due diligence and not shoot from the hip. Let us do our homework. We have preliminary stuff that was from a while ago. We have some information. We know that the cleaners contaminated it. We know there's a wetlands. We know that there's water. There's surface ground, surface water. There's some others. We all know there's slopes. We also know there's some people dumping some stuff back there that we're working very hard to make sure they stop putting, that Walgreens keeps their stuff proper and everybody back there doesn't put garbage in the back of that. So just, we hear you. We hear you. We are working on it. We've been working on it since we got that first email. We do have a lot of preliminary information. Zoning, I instructed zoning, and our engineering, and Anthony's here, engineering, code enforcement. Our director of code enforcement has been all over this property. So we are looking at every aspect of this property, and trust me, from Hillcrest to Early Street to Foots Pond, we're definitely pro open space. And I totally know where it is. I know the property well. We hear you. Be patient. I never use the word trust anybody, but clearly we're much pro environmental and open space in such a small town, so it is crucial. But let us do our homework. And we will talk to make sure that the councilwoman is armed with all the information in a timely fashion so she gets that information to you. So just let us keep working. For now. I can't say anything, right? There's a lot. I mean, the business administrator alluded to, probably she did, but
Mayor?
she alluded to a large tax lien.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Municipal
On the tax lien?
Yeah.
So on the tax lien, is that lien on the asking price? Is that included with the asking price, or is that above and in addition to the 400,000?
If you're asking me, I have no idea what the listing agreement provides.
Okay.
But in a normal situation, the liens would not be specifically listed on any type of listing agreement.
Okay, they'd be in addition to?
In a normal situation, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor, I appreciate it, and if you
we will
could
keep
let
you
us
very-
know
yes,
at
we
the
will
next
keep you-
meeting, give us a report, that
I'll
would...
keep you updated weekly on so you can let the neighborhood know what's going on, and you'll keep smiling. Thank you. That's it for that.
Okay. All right, if there are no more response comments from council, I'd like to move on.
I do have one.
Okay.
For the Let's Drive New Jersey, I just want to comment. There are 15 municipalities and 6 counties that have passed resolutions supporting that. In the last meeting, we were speaking about not going ahead of ourselves on passing resolutions on laws that have not been passed in Trenton. But I really re-examined that. We were talking about other topic, remember? About the recreational marijuana. But I think that it's important for us, this town always support immigration and the immigrants. Last year, a resolution was passed supporting the TPS holders. So I think it will be a very good idea to continue supporting our population here. There is a potential 30,000 new drivers in New Jersey, and that will bring revenue to insurance companies, car dealers, plus there will many other benefits. It's not only the benefit that these will people get as obtaining a driving license, but also everybody will be benefit by that, even the general public, as we will have drivers driving correctly. So I think it's something that we need to think about it. If anyone can stop on Saturday, this coming Saturday, at the Green at 5 p.m., it will be a great idea to get more information and all the support that this bill in Trenton is getting. Thank you.
So, Councilman, is this a hearing or is it a information session on Saturday, or?
There was a
what-
forum, there was an informative forum at the library a couple weeks ago, but this one is a general meeting at the park. There will be some speakers and a press release from Wind of the Spirit and many other organizations that are supporting this bill.
Okay, thank you. Council
Okay,
President, I just want to echo that, I think this is a really good idea, because the more information we can get, and the more, I think, safer in general the roads will be. Also, insurance, it helps with insurance, because insurance will be required. So I think that this is a really good idea, and I'm really busy, but if I can help with anything, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
And then, I guess I would just ask that for any of the council members that can't attend, any information that you can get, through Wind of Spirit, that you can disseminate to us, to help keep us informed, that would be helpful.
Yes, I will.
All right, now moving on to mayor's proclamations and presentations.
And I'm assuming, Councilman, you will be at that rally. Pass on my regrets. I will be in upstate New York celebrating my 23rd wedding anniversary.
Ooh, congratulations.
And I do kind of make every event that I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out of that this weekend. But pass on my.
I will.
Okay, quickly, let's do this first, the proclamation, then I'll do the.
Yes.
Deborah Regan. Deborah is a member of the Cultural Diversity Committee. Come on up. She will be accepting this proclamation on behalf of the governing body and the mayor. This is a proclamation that has to do with Fair Housing Act and affordable housing, and it's of most importance and something that our administration here and the governing body, the council fully supports. So it's an honor to read this into the record, then give it to you. All right? So, do you guys want to introduce yourselves first?
Of course.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Deb Regan. I work for Weikert Realtors, and I'm part of the Equal Opportunity and Cultural Diversity Committee. I just became a member this year, and in light of the 50th anniversary of Fair Housing, I felt really passionate and emboldened to really commemorate this very important act via a proclamation. So that's why you are here today. This is why the mayor is presenting this today. And I'd like to also introduce our chair of the Equal Opportunity.
My new friends from Montclair and West Orange.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council, for your leadership. I am the chairperson for New Jersey Realtors Equal Opportunity Cultural Diversity Committee. Yolanda Bass, also here, is a fellow committee member, and we appreciate, it's evident, just by looking at Council, the commitment to Morristown to equal opportunity and diversity, and I appreciate your good works.
And thank you very much for having me here, Yolanda Bass. And this is my first year on this committee.
Oh, okay, welcome. Okay, here we go, into the record. Whereas on April 11th, 1968, 7 days after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., President Lyndon Johnson signed into law Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Fair Housing Act. And whereas the legislation was co-sponsored by then Senators Edward Brooke and Walter Mondale and advanced an ambitious and progressive vision to eliminate housing discrimination and residential segregation in this country. And whereas and envision the Fair Housing Act is an important tool for achieving both justice and equity, and in signing the bill, President Johnson proclaimed, at long last, fair housing for all is now a part of the American way of life. We have come some of the way, not near all of it. And whereas fair housing helps to strengthen families, communities, businesses, and overall economy, and ensures that every community can be a place of opportunity where people can live in diverse, inclusive, accessible neighborhoods with quality schools, healthy foods, meaningful jobs, health care, green spaces, quality credit, and other opportunities that frame and affect our lives. And whereas the year 2018 marks the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, as well as the 30th anniversary of the creation of the National Fair Housing Alliance. Now therefore, I, Timothy P. Doherty, Mayor of the town of Morristown, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Fair Housing Act Month in the town of Morristown and recognize the importance of the Fair Housing Act as its impact on our community. Thank you all for what you do. Get a picture. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Did you guys want to say a couple words?
I said my word.
Yeah, just, okay.
There's also one of What's his name?
Okay, you want
Oh,
to
can
say
we
that
have
as
your
well?
name again?
They keep
Your
me
name?
they keep me busy.
Name again?
Oh, James Hughes, chairperson for New Jersey Realtors for the Equal Opportunity and Cultural Diversity Committee.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna be short and sweet because I know that these meetings go on, so in regards to that. I just would like to take a moment to thank the town of Morristown for giving the National Association of Realtors Equal Opportunity and Cultural Diversity Committee this unique opportunity to commemorate the 50th anniversary of fair housing via the proclamation, as well as posting the Fair Housing Makes Us Stronger video on the town website. That really makes a difference. So thank you, and have a good evening and continue
Thanks.
meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, for that reading that proclamation. Now we'll move on to,
Finish the rest?
you want to do it? Yeah.
Well, I have more.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Well, we missed a few things happened. They had Arbor Day, and the cherry tree was donated by the Rotary. Michael, thank you to your Rotarians. Grow It Green, for those who attended. I could not make it that evening. Had their Diamonds and Kale fundraising gala at the Seeing Eye. I heard it was a huge success. May 2nd was the grand opening of West End Residential on Washington Street. On Saturday, May 5th, Relay for Life was at the Morristown Armory. And for those who attended the Sandy Hook ride on Washington, we had a welcome here at the Town Hall for the 26 riders from Newtown, Connecticut, that ride to Washington, D.C. to advocate for assault weapons ban and smart gun legislation. They've been doing this, was their 6th year. We continue to support their advocacy and wish them well. They left the town hall on Sunday morning. I want to thank Council President Sheba Foster for the AIDS proclamation that was read. There was an annual AIDS walk. I was stuck at work. I appreciate you covering for that. I want to also send a shout out to Pastor Sidney Williams. They had their Table of Hope Source, Spring Street, CDC 2, annual gala, Diamonds and Denim and Diamonds Shine Bright Like a Diamond. It was very well attended. Esperanza Porras Fields was the keynote speaker. It was in bilingual, the speech. It was very good. And we want to thank all the work that he's doing with the school, with the Morris School District, with the young kids, the fifth graders, and they're really doing well, and they're doing well in school. So hats off to the SOAR program. Friday, May 11th, there's a ribbon cutting, Hudson Integrated Digital Marketing Agency. So if anybody wants to attend, it's 3 o'clock on May 11th. It's at Headquarters Plaza, East Town, 5th floor. That's 3 o'clock on Friday, if anybody wants to come. So, May 12th, I think this is something, I'm sure Stefan will be there. I think everybody should attend, is the 9:30 a.m., the early street grand opening ceremony. That's the garden. That's a really great thing that this town has accomplished by preserving that property and people just growing fresh vegetables and feeding people and feeding themselves and donating to the soup kitchens and the things that come out of that garden is amazing. And they've done a great job. Grow It Green has done a great job on enhancing that as a community garden, and we're very proud that Morristown took the lead in preserving that property and creating that. 5 p.m., Winter Spirit Rally, that was just announced. 6 p.m. on the 18th, Morristown High School 20th Annual Intergenerational Prom. So do you go to that, Stefan?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 6 p.m., May 18th. Saturday, May 19th, 9 a.m., Environmental Commission Mayor's Spring Cleaning of Pocahontas Lake and Speedwell Lake. You meet at the waterfall area at Speedwell Lake. So this is a town-wide, people were reaching out for everybody. They picked up so much stuff last year. They did a great job. That's 9 a.m., the 19th, Saturday. It's a spring cleanup of Pocahontas Lake and Speedwell Lake. You meet at the waterfall area of Speedwell Lake. So I expect to see everybody. I'm looking at everybody's face. You'll all be out there, right? They're smiling, they're nodding their heads, but they're not gonna, I'm not gonna, I'll remember. I've got that. And finally, on May 21st, at 2:30 p.m., this is something Councilwoman Toshiba Foster and Councilwoman Davis, 10 Willow Street, Habitat for Humanity is dedicating their dedication ceremony to Rico and Andrade Escobar families. And I can't quote, I think it's 36 or 37, right? 36 homes that Habitat has built, affordable homes for families in Morristown, and that is to be commended.
4% of the home ownership in our town.
Say that again?
4%.
Okay, so 4%.
4% of the home.
This means something because when you register in percentage of your affordable homes in the community you live in, you're really doing something really well. 4% of our homes.
We got that information last year.
Yeah, all our homes are affordable. And, you know, it doesn't seem a lot, but it is. Because I'm sure there's communities that don't have any. Mm-hmm. And so we congratulate Habitat for their continued work in Morristown and partnering with the local government and private and public partnerships work. And they work well. They're a very organized, very well-run organization. Anything else, administration, from the administration side? Yes. It's not on my schedule. Shred Day. So you know those documents you don't want to keep hanging around? So public, come shred your documents. You know, you want to get rid of those documents you don't want anybody to find 10 years from now? Come and shred them here. That's the 12th, 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock here, back at Town Hall. Anything else?
YMCA.
I think that's it for me.
YMCA on Friday.
What?
YMCA on Friday.
YMCA?
Oh, yeah.
They're having their grand opening.
Oh, I didn't know. That wasn't on my, didn't make it my, sorry. You want to announce it?
That's because they said you couldn't make it. They asked us, we got an email from the clerk saying that your office couldn't make it, could a council
Oh, terrific.
member-
What day is that? May 12th,
Raise
right?
my hand.
So May 11th, the YMCA in I think it's technically Cedar Knolls has for the last year been doing a huge overhaul of its facility. and they're having a grand opening at 7 p.m.
And that is
7 p.m.
Saturday?
Friday.
Friday, well,
Friday
I'll-
evening, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
7 to 9?
Your anniversary, right?
That weekend, I'm kind of booked. Mary'd be embarrassed if she heard me
Booked or
talking
dead.
about my anniversary. Booked or dead.
You better be there.
Yeah, I'll have a carrot for dinner.
Are you done?
That's an inside joke, the carrot thing. That's pretty much what I eat is fruits and vegetables, so.
Done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our business
Drum roll,
administrator,
please.
Jillian Barrett, who's going to introduce to us the fiscal year 2018 municipal budget. Drum roll, please. No.
Good evening, everyone. I will try to make this short and sweet, but certainly if for some reason I'm going a little fast, please stop me. So the 2018 proposed budget includes a 1.3 penny increase in the municipal tax rate. There's a net assessed valuation this year, an increase of $5 million, which is 0.2%. The municipal tax levy, we're 2%. We're under the 2% property tax levy by over $700,000, and the 1 cent worth of municipal tax rate is equal to about $226,000. So the history of municipal tax rate. Our municipal tax rate has been declining steadily. We did make a 2 penny cut in 2016 following the settlement of the hospital the hospital tax appeal settlement. We are increasing the tax by 1.3 pennies this year. However, it's still less than it's been since 2011. And it's even less than the tax was prior to the 2 cent cut in 2016. So breaking down the tax rates, the largest component of increase in the property tax rate for our homeowners is the school district, which is increasing by 5.5 pennies. The county is increasing by 0.9 and the library by 0.6. So the total increase is 8.3 pennies in the tax rate. To show that as a trend, yet again, the school district is really the one that's driving the increase in the tax rate. The other 3 components of the tax rate have remained fairly flat over the last 5 years, and the school district continues to grow. This year, the school district makes up 51% of the total tax rate, whereas the municipality is 35%, the county is 12%, and the library is 2%. Looking at the tax bill comparison for our average residential property, which is $354,791 in assessed value, the tax rate, the tax bill increase for the average homeowner is $289 this year, of which $49 is the municipal tax, $193 is the Morristown School or the Morris School District, $30 for the county, and $17 for the public library. So that's a total of $289 for the year, or $72 per quarter. If your house is not exactly $54,000, using the $100,000 of assessed value, the impact per $100,000 is $81.41, of which $13.81 is the municipal tax rate impact. As I mentioned earlier, our tax rate has increased by over $5 million. The municipal tax valuations increased by over $5 million. For 2018, our total net assessed valuation is $2,266,767,400. That includes an increase from tax appeal settlements, court adjudications, and tax assessor changes, which decreased $12.9 million. There's an increase. The largest increase was in residential valuation of 9.3, but there was an offsetting decrease in the commercial valuation of $14.9 million. Most of that is driven by office space on Madison Avenue, which still had outstanding tax appeals going back for a few years. The equalization rate this year is Down again, it's at 72.42% over last year, which was 78.32%.
Jillian, on the commercial properties?
Yes.
Do we have any other large, because 3 meetings ago, we actually approved the settlements of quite a few of those appeals on Madison Avenue. Are any of those appeals still pending to be?
Well, I can get you that answer once I speak to our assessor.
Because that was a big hit.
Right.
That night was a big hit.
So your question is list of
Not a
pending?
list. When you look at a budget, you're looking at what's the potential risk the following years. Is there any potential risk because of pending commercial, particularly office space appeals?
We can certainly find that out. I do know a number of the Madison Avenue appeals settled this year. So I think a large number of them have settled, but we'll confirm that.
Along those lines, when was the last time we did a reval?
2007? 2007.
So what is the requirement for the state law requirement? And is that something we're thinking about doing or considering or looking at to mitigate risk?
Yes.
In the next year, or?
I'm sorry, let me just take some notes.
Could we get a little report from the CFO, and could he enlighten us?
I'll follow up.
He looks like he wants to speak, that's what.
Yes, we'll provide you with a report about revaluation we'll be looking at shortly. I've made notes. We'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay. And then.
But
large
could you
tax
just
appeals.
answer my question with
It's being evaluated. The
what
option
the
is being
requirement, what the state law says? Isn't it within 10 years?
When the county orders it is when it's due. Typically, it's about 10 years.
Okay, it's not set in
It's
stone.
not exactly 10 years.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about tax appeals? Okay. In summary, the 2018 budget that's being proposed totals $52,355,857, of which 41.3 million is the operating fund, 2.8 million is the capital, and 8.3 million comes from the sewer utility fund. That's actually a decrease from the prior year, which is driven by the decrease in the capital improvement fund. So what has changed? The significant changes are as follows. We're once again being driven by large changes in personnel costs, particularly benefits. Medical and dental insurance has gone up an estimated $700,000. The police and fire pension by $365,000, almost $366,000. The reserve for salary increases, which is driven by the 6 outstanding labor contracts that are still under negotiation. And then certainly bond principal and public works expenses are also up, totaling $1.5 million. The 2% property tax levy cap, we are under the cap again by $740,000. The maximum allowable levy is $23.5 million, and our levy is at $22.8. Anticipated revenues primarily are driven by municipal tax levy. This year, our tax levy is 57.8%. The surplus anticipated 7.3%, specialized appropriations 8%, et cetera. Our state aid remains flat, 6.9%, and local revenues is 6.5%. Our projected general revenues, the largest items, the largest increases, the municipal tax levy is increasing by $343,000. The sale of municipal property, $300,000, which is proceeds from the sale of Headley Road. Payment in lieu of taxes is increasing by $209,000, driven primarily by the Fox Rothschild pilot, which came online this year, as well as the Madera 44 pilot, which was not fully realized in the prior year, is fully realized this year. General capital surplus of $150,000. Municipal court fees are up, as well as fees and permits. I'd like to remind everyone again that the state aid is actually energy tax receipts and COMTRA, which is technically statutorily belongs to the towns. However, the state continues to siphon off revenue. And so we are once again getting a flat state aid number from the state. However, they're still shortchanging us by a substantial amount of money. Cumulatively, $13.4 million as of this year since 2001. That would more than double our surplus. Revenue decreases this year. In prior years, we anticipated $3,475,000 in the use of surplus. We have proposed to decrease the use of surplus this year by $475,000, closer to our prior year levels and what we believe is sustainable, is also in line with the fund balance policy that was proposed and adopted by this governing body at the last council meeting. Delinquent taxes are also down. You may recall in the prior budget, there was delinquent taxes from the hospital property of about $1 million because they paid their tax bill late. So they paid on time this year, so our delinquent taxes are down, but our actual taxes are back up. So therefore, our collection rate has actually increased to over 99% this year, which is great. Just a reminder, as municipal, the Morristown Medical Center settlement, we are still benefiting. We are in the third year of a 10-year agreement, the $550,000 per year of interest and penalties, which is offset by the increases in other taxes. So in 2018, we'll realize $517,000 in interest and penalties, plus the impact of the increase in assessed value of $40 million, which is still generating over $400,000 in new tax revenue that we did not realize prior to that, as well as the $10 million, which still remains in our surplus.
With the settlement, is there any provision if the state regulation changes where our taxes, we could tax more? I'm following this closely. The proposed legislation down in Trenton right now is $1,000 a bed per year.
I don't think it affects us.
If I recall correctly, the settlement
Is the settlement
keeps
firm,
us whole.
or if the
The settlement says if the state comes out with new legislation, that the hospital will keep us whole.
They'll keep us whole, but can they go back? No.
Can they go back on their agreement?
does
No, they
look like-
cannot pay us less than what
Only,
they are
only,
already paying.
only more.
Good.
Only more.
Only more.
Gotcha.
Yes.
We made sure that provision.
Yeah, that's in there. So they can only pay us more if they change the formula, and it gives us another $500,000 because the state changed the formula. We get that.
Yes, precisely.
Oh, yeah. Model settlement.
Yes, agreed. Which is why all the other hospitals were not happy about it. So the use of fund balance this year, we're anticipating the use of $3 million, which is broken down as follows. $150,000 for capital improvement fund, $700 for the reserve for tax appeals. There's $197 municipal pass-through for the school district, and a reserve for vacation sick leave of $475,000, and the balance is for tax relief towards municipal operations.
So we're reducing the fund balance by approximately $1 million. And it's, right. Actually, it's the next slide. No.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand your
It's more
question.
clear here.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so this is a fund balance analysis, which reflects, the red dot reflects our new fund balance policy. So we're anticipating the use of $3 million, which will take our fund balance, if we receive no other revenue, would bring our fund balance as of December 31st down to 11.6. Which is still substantially more than the $10.9 million, which would be required by our fund balance policy. However, keep in mind that we also, at the end of the year, will lapse any funds that are still reserved from 2017. We typically do lapse at least $3 million, so we expect to remain whole into the calendar year for next year. But again, this is for illustration purposes.
So we're really not drawing down on our fund balance.
We don't expect to. I mean, certainly if we spend every
And I don't
penny
think it's
from
a bad
last
thing.
year.
Don't think I'm criticizing that.
Absolutely.
Because the policy is 25%, which is conservative.
Correct.
but we're not really drawing down on.
We don't anticipate drawing down anywhere near that, no. Okay, moving on to appropriations. Our 2018 appropriations are as follows. As usual, a majority of our budget is public safety and public works. Almost 25% of the budget, or $10.3 million, goes towards police and fire, and about $7 million is going towards public works, or 6.5%. 15.9% towards insurance, et cetera. The largest increases, again, medical and dental insurance, pension for police and fire, reserve for salary increases, our bond principal and public works is our largest increases. And decreasing is our capital improvement fund. We had invested money in our prior capital fund in the operating budget. We are going back to $150,000 this year, which is our normal level. Reserve for uncollected taxes is also down because our collection rate is up, which is great. Police other expenses, we had some one-time expenses last year that were non-recurring. Similar with fire department, there were some retirements that are offset this year, and then the interest on bonds is down a little bit.
Jillian, later on, you're going to spend some time with the capital budget?
That's the very end. Yep. Salaries and wages, they're down by a whole $17,000. That's primarily driven by some retirements and separations. We are anticipating adding 3 new positions, one firefighter and 2 police officers to be hired this year, or 3 additional positions. And other expenses are up by 2.5%. Insurance is up, pension is up, and debt service is up, which are really driven primarily by ongoing costs. Our pension costs increasing by 14%, or $404,000, primarily driven by PFRS. That's a function of the state formula. We also had a decrease last year for an unknown reason because the state doesn't tell us, so I think some of that is being offset in this year's budget number, which is an actual bill that we get from the state. If you'll notice, the contribution rate changed as well. The PERS rate went from 12.9% up to 13.37%, and the PFRS rate went up from 25.5% to 27 and almost 0.5%. The salary increases from the prior settled contracts are also reflected in 2018 budgeted amount. So in 2016, the end of 2016, there were contracts that were settled, and many of those salaries were reflected in the new pension bills. Our health insurance cost is anticipated at 6.5%, 5.7% of which is net of the current retiree premium cost sharing, as well as the offsets from the drug subsidy from Medicaid or Medicare, and the sewer and building department offsets, which are covered by fees. We go out for market every year with our health insurance. Oops, sorry. We go out for every year for our health insurance. We're currently fully insured, and our increase this year was more than we've seen in prior years. Due to some high claims experience. We are exploring some alternative health insurance avenues that we're hoping to offset the increases that we are experiencing currently, and hopefully we'll have that resolved before the end of the budget year, but these budget numbers are based on the current plans that we do have in place. So on the debt service side, we remain a good, strong credit. We're doubly with a positive outlook from Standard & Poor's. We're certainly hoping with our new fund balance policy, as well as our continued fiscal management, that will hopefully carry us to even better credit rating in the future. Our principal debt service, we've paid down $2.7 million in 2017. We have a scheduled payment of $2.8 million in this year. Our outstanding debt as of the end of 2017 totaled $23.3 million. of which 16 million is GO principal and 7.3 is bond anticipation notes. We do typically go out, we roll our bond anticipation notes over usually when we get to about $10 million. So I expect that will occur even sometime either next year into the following year.
Jillian, those are your short-term bonds?
Short-term notes.
Short-term notes?
Yes.
And so the budget, just to be clear, has no additional financing is anticipated? Additional
Not this year.
Or not this year?
Not this year. As I said, we typically roll the notes in when they top over 10 million. We anticipate that'll happen next year.
And is the future years, 19 and 20, is that based on your projected capital budget?
Yes.
So we'll get to that.
Yes. So our net debt to equalized value ratio as of right now is just north of 1%, which is substantially under the 3% statutory maximum. And our total net debt has declined by over $16 million since 2011, and we anticipate continuing that trend. The debt service in the utility fund, we continue to pay down. In fact, we are continuing to use pay-as-you-go capital in the utility fund, so we are adding no new debt in sewer utility for a 6th year in a row. Continuing on that path, we anticipate that the debt service in the utility fund will be completely paid off by 2024. And we continue to fund $670,000 this year in the capital fund for the sewer department, which will more than cover the capital needs. The general fund capital projects is $2.8 million anticipated. That includes over $1 million for sidewalks, roads, and curbs. $195,000 for the senior bus and heavy equipment. $645,000 for park and playground improvements. $45,000 for the dam improvements. $180,000 for building improvements. $273,000 for the pool, and $400,000 in Section 20, which is for engineering and soft costs to support the $2.8 million. And that is the budget in its entirety. How'd I do? 20 million, 20 minutes. Very good. All right.
Jillian, under tab 9, I
Yes.
think it's 9. That's where I got confused, actually, because on that schedule, it actually shows bond funding needed in 18 of 2.69. Is that just because we're using existing bond financing?
Yes.
We are. Okay. And does that then, this is your projected budget, I take it, and those are future needs?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was looking down. I apologize.
No, again, referring to the same schedule on the capital budget with the funding that's necessary, what we're projecting then is that all new money then after 18? No? It is new money. So that's going to be new money?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for,
Oh, I have a couple more questions.
I was just thanking her, and then I was gonna,
Okay, good.
I didn't get a chance to thank her, because
You and I are off tonight.
I just wanted to take the time to thank you and the administration for all your hard work and putting together such a well-detailed and very comprehensive and very informational budget. I took the time to read over it this weekend, and so as I spoke to you already independently, and you addressed, there were really no questions, but just wanted to give you your credit and your proper due, so thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you. I
And now
appreciate
I'll
that.
turn it back over to council members for questions pertaining to the budget.
I only have one last, again, you guys did a great job on this.
With you.
On page, section 1, page 29, is the, and I do appreciate that we included this. This was great. You have the 3-year financial projection. How, that's really not that, how solid is that, do you think? Because what we're saying is
It's a very
projected-
basic ballpark without taking into account any new revenue.
No,
or-
that's what I thought.
Right. So it's a very general number. I certainly don't anticipate getting anywhere near that by the time we get into the budget next year. But this is based on 0 corrective action, 0 new revenue, 0 changes in expenditures, 0 initiatives, kind of nothing happening between now and then, which is not going to happen.
Right.
Yes. We actively manage the budget regularly.
Is that all?
From me.
From you? Any other council members have questions or comments?
I have one comment, if I may.
You may.
So we all talk about it year after year after year. After this budget gets passed, and I'm assuming it will, they start working on next year's budget. It's a year. It's constant. And I want to thank, obviously, she's our business administrator has been here long enough now for the council and the public to understand why I pursued so hard to get her here. We were very fortunate to have someone of her financial background and understanding how municipal budgets work. But I also want to thank Frank and all our department heads. Frank Mason is our CFO, and we're not losing him. I'm not letting him go anywhere. And our department heads all play a huge part in crafting this budget. And believe me, do we have time today, Mayor, to talk about the budget? And even our town attorney, Veach Barr, gets involved in how we shape this. And so my hat's off to the whole team, led by our business administrator and our CFO, who I think we're very fortunate to have both in our community. That's it.
I know, Councilman Elms, you had sent me some questions.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to address them, I can do that now.
That'd be great. So referring to the municipal data sheet, I had a quick question, or a couple of questions. If you go to sheet 22, I know that several years ago, we kind of outsourced, if you will, our 911 dispatch caller.
Yeah.
So on sheet 22, does it say that our out-of-pocket expense for this service is this amount?
300 and some change thousand? Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It would be substantially more if we did it ourselves.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So this is
a very large undertaking.
A share, there's an individual, there's a service that several towns pay into?
Yes. And it's police, fire, and EMS dispatch.
Okay.
We just toured it the other day. It's amazing what they do.
Almost $400,000.
Yeah, but if we had to man that ourselves and staff it and pay salaries, pension,
Pension,
24
insurance.
24 hours a day.
vacation, sick.
Yeah.
And it's not just the salary, but also the equipment.
Yeah, technology, equipment, bodies, it's well over what we,
I mean,
it would be well over what we pay.
It's an incredible facility.
Incredible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Shooting back to sheet 10, and then, well, sheet 10 is in no, so I have a question about, where am I? Sorry. Sheet 15C, in regard to the money that we give on an annual basis to the Morris County Tourism Bureau. You know, I'm sure many of us in this room know Leslie Bensley quite well, and I've gone in there many times. There's no bigger fan and proponent of Morristown than she is. And even though Morris County Tourism Bureau, they're promoting the county as a whole, she's about as pro Morristown as you can get. I think that we should take a harder look at the amount of money that we give to her organization and the funding that we provide for them. I know that we're collecting over $600,000 from the hotel tax. So would it not make sense to take some of that tax money from the hotels and increase the funding for the Morris County Tourism Bureau?
Okay.
I think that's something that the council should take into consideration.
What is the current allotment that we give?
$5,000.
Are they asking for additional monies, or are there
They-
other funding? And I also noticed that we have request for a grant for funding for marketing.
They have not asked recently for an increase in funding from us. There was an increase last year, a couple of years ago, when we did the fireworks with them. So we helped to fund the fireworks with them through our budget. But other than that, there has not been a request for increase.
And if I may say, Councilman, it would behoove you and some of the other council members to go in front of the Freeholder Board, which actually fund the Morris County tourism, and request that the freeholders fund an organization that does countywide tourism. They underfund that office.
I'd be happy to do that.
I think you should.
Okay.
But along those lines, so we collect $600,000 in hotel tax?
Yes.
So, and that money goes to?
The general fund.
The
General
general
fund.
fund.
Yep.
Is there a state regulation that says you have to appropriate a certain amount of hotel tax to?
No.
No.
No, it's just.
It's a general,
it
it's a
goes to
general
the
tax
general
revenue.
fund?
Yeah.
General tax
Wow.
revenue.
Yeah. Helps the
Wow.
taxpayers.
It's pretty mean.
Yep.
What's that?
It's kind of mean.
Why? Why would it be mean?
Mean?
No, that
They all
only
tax-
$5,000 goes to promote tourism, which promotes the hotel.
Well, it's the county office of tourism. So the freeholders, they're the ones who fund that office. So, I mean, do we get into the arena of funding every organization that's out there, especially one that's funded by the county? I mean, the county has a $300-something million budget, if I'm correct. And I think that's where the council should go put pressure on the freeholders.
Do
I'm
we know
being
how
very
much
polite.
money the county gives them?
I don't know what the county gives them, but they underfund them.
Okay.
And the mayor's being polite also, because the fact is we give a lot of benefits for the county to the extent we're hosting so much of the county facilities here in town, using our other resources.
Well, we give them 5,000. There's 39 towns.
That was one of the things I said.
Each town
I
gave
can't believe you
5,000.
said that. I said, and we had that in discussion. You're absolutely right, Councilwoman. And we had that in discussion. Morristown not only gives them a small donation, but also facilitates the use of whatever they need at any time. We did the fireworks, whatever they asked for, we give them. And that actually came up, that why don't other towns fund? And because there's lots of tourism throughout the county, Boonton, Chester. Oh my God,
Maybe
there's
they
all.
do. I mean, we
They
don't
don't.
know. They don't?
They don't. Not that I'm aware of. I think we're the only ones. I could be wrong. I wonder if the township does. I don't know. We'll talk about that right before we end the meeting tonight.
And Ms. Barrick, we could talk about this offline, but one other thing that I mentioned is there's an old county, Morris County water pump station on Overlook Road.
Yes.
And I'd like to have that added as a line item for,
We've already got it covered.
Oh.
Engineering's already been working on it. We've got it covered.
you've got
One step
nothing
ahead
but
of you.
good
Mr.
news for me tonight.
One step ahead of you, Michael.
Wonderful. Thank you. That is all.
You'd asked about the cable franchise fees? They're franchise fees.
Cablevision pays us.
Cablevision and Verizon both pay us franchise fees for the privilege of doing business, Cablevision and it's a Cablevision and Verizon, for the privilege of being able to do business in our town.
I don't know. I wish you ever get your cable bill? It's astronomical.
Yeah.
It's astronomical.
But you still need.
I don't want to take a position on cable, but it's high. Your cable bills are
Because you
high.
need the Wi-Fi, and then they make you get the phone. It's
I don't have
insane.
DirecTV.
Yeah.
Thank you.
$237.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Michael.
And I don't even watch TV. I don't either.
Oh, I'm sorry. Back to, it's very off night for us. I do apologize. All right, moving on to the report of mayor and town officials. I think the mayor, are you done with your reports?
I think I did my report like a half hour ago.
Okay.
Are we still, did we go backwards?
Council liaison reports?
Just I attended the Environmental Commission meeting, and the same neighborhood group that visited you this evening was also at the Monday meeting, the Tuesday meeting, and voiced their concerns to the Environmental Commission. And just the mayor announced the cleanup coming up on the 19th. That's a big event that we're doing with the Environmental Commission. So I hope everybody will come out for that. Once again, that's at 9 a.m. in front of Speedwell Lake. It's a cleanup, lakes cleanup that the Environmental Commission is helping to organize. So that's all I have.
All right, moving on to calendar of events. Any calendar of events that you want to make aware to the public? Now we'll move on to regular business.
Okay, we have 4 ordinances for introduction this evening. Ordinance 09-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 13, Housing and Property Maintenance Code.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Okay, excuse me. So I have a question on, so how is this different from, how are we amending this? I know that this was,
I'm sorry, what are we on?
we're talking about ordinance 9, 2018. Can you just walk us through what the red line changes are?
The only change is the council created a subcommittee of Councilman Iannacone, Councilwoman Davis, and Councilman Silva, and there were discussions about young adults who are still in school be able to stay with the family and stay in the residence that they have grown up in up to a certain age. Prior to this ordinance, our ordinance allowed 13 years or younger for there not to be a property maintenance violation. And what this ordinance does is to raise that age to 18, where children under the age of 18 could occupy a room that is smaller than what is regularly allowed under our property maintenance.
Actually, I don't think there was any age limit in it for. What we did was originally we were debating whether 13 or 18, and we feel that 18 is a good number to have.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
I made the motion.
And I have a second from Councilman Iannacone. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 9-2018 has been introduced properly and will be considered further for adoption during a public hearing scheduled on May 22nd. Excuse me. Ordinance O-13-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 4, Licensing and Business Regulations.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any comments?
On this one, it's lowering the insurance threshold to $35,000. Can we get an opinion from somebody? What my fear here is by having only $35,000, and I'm no expert on insurance, but somebody else should actually give us this expertise, whether it's our adjusters or whoever. But if it's $35,000, my concern is most people have $100,000, $300,000, $200,000, $500,000. $35,000 is very little. And my concern is that a passenger in the cab gets injured and the extent of the coverage is only $35,000. I don't know, I'll speak for myself. I don't think I'm capable of making this decision without some kind of professional advice as to what should be the level of insurance that a taxi cab should carry. And I know this is the minimum by statute, but should we be just allowing the minimum by statute? I don't know. And, you know, and it goes along with the Uber conversation. Ubers, do they have minimum requirements? What are the Uber minimum requirements? I mean, it's a whole new world here, I know, but I think dropping it to $35,000, to the minimum required by law, is that wise in terms of the protection of passengers? That's my only point on this.
State minimum.
That's valid.
You can vote no.
I mean, I agree with the councilman. I mean, if it might make sense to just get an outside opinion to support or deny that may or may not be enough. I mean, you don't, again, also you don't want to price someone out of the market either.
Right. I think it's sort of a catch-22 because on the one hand, it's it's an acknowledgement that delivery drivers and all the non-officially licensed taxi drivers have no real requirement, and whether or not they have any insurance or what their insurance is. And so the way I read this and researched what the state requirement is that this is a way to make it easier for licensed taxi drivers to compete in this ever-changing business of commercial transportation.
When I read it, I was thinking the same. It's too low. How I will need more advice because I see it too risky.
I mean, $35,000 is nothing.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, that's like a broken arm at the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean,
So just so you know how this all came about, so the Taxi Cab Coalition is constantly fighting gypsy cabs and people who take all their fares and they don't, and their cost of insurance is, that's why the state put a minimum in of $35,000. That's exactly why the state did it. And it's very hard for them to compete. They can't compete with Uber, and now they're competing with gypsy cabs who just people drive around in vans, minivans, and they just pick people up, and there's no regulation, and don't even know if they have insurance. This is at least a requirement that they have a minimum insurance, and that's why the state puts it as a minimum insurance, and it allows them to compete. This is how they presented it. They presented it, we presented it to you. I think you deliberated well on it. I think Councilman Iannacone, perfect question of can we get some better advice insurance-wise? I mean, I think we can ask our insurance broker.
Well, but also, when the state made that a minimum requirement, there's an assumption that they did a study and they found that the minimum to be appropriate. We can certainly contact the Department of Banking and Insurance and see if we can get some kind of any study or any information that they may have as to why they chose the minimum to be $35,000. So certainly
Yeah,
look into that.
and believe me, the police chief, I think, is in the back. He is, and we've dealt with this for at least 8 years. I've been dealing with it. It's very difficult to regulate non-licensed cabs because even if the police are watching and they pull somebody over and they ask, did you hire this? And they just say no. And there's nothing they can do. It's very difficult to enforce. Dover's had a major issue with it. And then on the opposite side, there was an article in Rockaway or some other town where they were really cracking down on the limos and the taxis and was almost pushing them out of business. So it's a very, very, very difficult situation for people trying to make a living who register their cars, get their cars inspected, follow the rules, and then they're penalized because they can't compete with the other entity. But I think your question is valid, and I think let's take Vija's.
Table it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Table it because.
And let's see if we can get you more information.
Really, what I like about this is you're absolutely right, Mayor. It'd be nice to do something to give them some edge.
Well, we did. We took away the
fees.
We took away the fees because they can't compete with Uber. Doesn't have to pay fees.
Do we
so-
know Uber's insurance minimum?
I don't
Are we?
looking it up right now.
Oh.
50. It's 50. So.
So I guess I'd like to make a motion to table this until the next meeting, at which
Second.
point we could have a more
Well, we'll try to
robust,
get you more
educated
information, yeah.
discussion about it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Visual contact banking insurance. Okay.
I think it says here that when the Uber driver is driving by themselves in the car alone, it's a minimum insurance of $50,000, but once they pick somebody up and they have a passenger, they're covered by the company up to $1 million.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You're comparing apples and oranges.
Let's get.
You're comparing apples and oranges
Let's
when,
get some
when you talk about a
some
national
information
company
from the attorney at law and
to a local, yeah, mom and pop. You're talking, it's like apples and oranges.
Just do it all.
Is everybody in
There must
favor of
be some-
tabling
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, moving on, ordinance O-14-2018. Ordinance authorizing the lease of up to 140 parking spaces on a month-to-month basis at 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey.
I'll move it.
Second. Yeah.
Okay.
1 second. Is this
Yes.
the?
I had a question for that one. When we list these parking spots, do we require insurance certificate from the people who?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And these are the property that's,
Going to be occupied.
I'm having problems, like,
Everywhere.
I just like
All
something in
are
the air.
today.
Is the moon full?
75 degrees
Is that what it
after
is?
all the rain.
The medical insurance condo offices that are on Elm changed hands again, if you recall. They changed hands about a year ago. So there's yet another new owner, which is for facilitating the need for the auction. They had a lease on spaces, and they want to reestablish the lease, which is the reason for the auction.
What area will be occupied?
It's the, kind of the back corner closest to that side of the
Okay.
building, yeah. Assuming that they're successful bidders.
Okay, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 14-2018 has been introduced properly and will be considered further for adoption during a public hearing on May 22nd. Ordinance O-15-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 14, rent control.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, Council,
Just thank you, administration, for getting this done.
Welcome.
Very well done.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Wait, I didn't hear you say call a question. I just wanted to know, again, can you walk us through the changes from the previous code? So that for the benefit of the public, what was agreed?
The only change was the late fee. Johnny, do you recall what the old number was? But it was.
I don't think there was one. I
Yeah.
don't think there was an
There actually was
established
no
rate.
cap before. And
Right.
So
actually
what,
capped
what,
at
what,
35.
one of the subcommittee issues that was raised was the excessive late fees, and some of the residents that have come to the council meetings also talked about excessive fees. This was something that, in fact, we had drafted a few months ago, and then when it was brought up at the subcommittee, we thought that the time was right to get it introduced, get it in the books, so that residents don't get gouged by late fees by certain landlords.
Okay, so now it says there is a late fee? That there is no
There is a
late?
late fee, but there's a cap on it.
Okay.
Can't exceed $35.
45.
The levies some of the tenants were getting were in excess of 200.
Oh, 200.
Yeah, and more.
Okay.
That's insane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
15-2018 was introduced properly and will be considered further for adoption during public hearing on May 22nd. We have 4 ordinances for public hearing and adoption this evening. Ordinance O-8-2018, calendar year ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion. Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, close the public portion for that. Questions or comments from council?
We really don't need this resolution. It's just a matter of.
It's an ordinance.
Ordinance,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's just a
ordinance,
matter of,
sorry.
you have to have it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but you're not using it.
We're not using it, it establishes it for the
Yeah,
future.
you're successful in keeping it below the cap.
Yep.
Okay.
Call the question?
Okay, on 8-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 8-2018 is adopted. Ordinance O-10-2018, an ordinance appropriating $30,000 received by the town from Whole Foods Market and E for streetscape improvements on Washington Street in and by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I'll move it.
Second. Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, close the public session. Any comments or questions from council?
Okay. Councilman,
Question?
thank you. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 10-2018 is adopted. Ordinance 11-2018.
Excuse me. Sorry.
And, I'm sorry, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A second.
Oh, sorry, any members of the public wishing to speak on ordinance 011-2018? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Any questions or comments from council members?
Sorry, but I only have one question. You know what, I'm reading this, and it's just a concern about small business owners who might have a truck that they do park in the streets. The size of the truck here I see is 4 tons, and then later on, I was having a gross vehicle weight of 8,000 tons, or, sorry, that's me. Sorry. I mean, are we doing anything to hurt that small business owner? You see where I'm going with this question? I know we're trying to keep the trucks parked, the big trucks, the loading and unloading, and people parking there. What I'm concerned about is like that guy that's a painter, that guy that's a contractor, and I don't know.
Can they park in their driveway?
That's,
I think that's really more toward like the flatbeds. I know there's an issue in our ward where a guy has a flatbed, but it doesn't weigh enough that we can't keep him off the street, and he kind of parks on, township or town side, but a lot of people complain about it because the truck occupies like 2 car lengths,
Right.
Yeah. And he doesn't park in his driveway.
You see what my concern is? My concern is that, the guy that's painting and he has a van or he has a small truck, and that's how he makes his living, and he parks on the street.
But do those vans actually, are they not
I don't know.
Well,
the regular
That's why I'm
size?
trying to gauge the size of the truck.
It's really about overnight parking. So the question is, should we allow all businesses to be able to park on the street? Or do they have to park in their driveways? They would rather not park in the driveways because it blocks space, so they'd rather park on the street.
I think the problem comes in
I don't think
when
we
you
can
have,
pick and choose which ones.
Right.
because on streets that there's not a lot of parking, residents do have multiple cars, and so then when you have these commercial vehicles that are taking up
A lot of
2
space.
spaces, somebody coming home, like my daughter at
Yes.
night, that
Yeah.
may not have a parking space, it proposes a big problem.
Has answered my question.
Okay.
All right, call the question.
Councilman,
Do you have a public hearing?
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilwoman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 11-2018 is adopted. Ordinance 0-12-2018, an ordinance of the Town of Morristown, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 30 Land Use Regulations, Article 8A, Affordable Housing Overlay Zone, Section 30-8A03, Low and Moderate Income Housing Requirements of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second?
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number 012-218, 2018. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Okay, call the question.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 12-2018 is adopted. We have 3 resolutions on the agenda this evening. Unless someone would like to pull one out for separate discussion, I'll take it.
No,
We pulled one.
We pulled 89.
I announced.
So I'd like to make a motion that we vote on those 3 en masse.
Second?
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone? Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, no new business, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
A second? All in favor?
Go.
Opposed? Hit the gavel.
Meeting adjourned.